こんにちは皆様。知らない人にも、はじめまして。私の名前はニチョです。皆様、来てくれてありがとうございます。ポートフォリオデーにようこそ。Good afternoon, everyone. And to anyone that I don't know, thank you nice to meet you. My name is Nicho. Thank you so much for coming to our Portfolio Day. Welcome. I present to you, 今劇はどうでしたか? How did this semester go? May we start with the MP Camp, or MP Camp. For MP Camp, which is basically a day for us to be able to relax a little bit, be active, and be with our classmates. This year, or this semester rather, we went to the zoo. We had a guided tour. It was a VIP tour in which we got to feed some of the parrots. And then we had an exploration time. And at the very end, we got to ask the rest of our students, or the rest of our classmates, if they have any advice for us for any difficulties that we may be having. It was very enjoyable. Next up, we have my 個人的な体験, or personal experiences. First off, I had the Taller Café Cartoon with Maria Jose Mendizabal, in which we got to learn a little bit about how to draw cartoons based off of the people that we know or don't know. I attended it with Nicolas Bonilla, whom you guys know. And at the very end, I got this diploma and the two drawings at the very left, which are representing me. And the drawing on the right is representing the girl that was on my right. She goes by Moshita on Instagram. Next up, I learned a little bit about how to bake bread. It was an amazing experience, truly, here at UFM with the Facultad de Nutrición. I got to learn all about different types of bread dough, different ways in which we can form the bread, and the different recipes. For example, we got to learn a little bit about how to make bread with raisins in them, bread with whole grains, for example. We made bread with sourdough. It was truly an amazing experience, and I really enjoyed it. I think I will be doing this a lot in the future. I would highly recommend it for everyone else. Next up, I attended the Cátedra Salvador Aguado, in which we got to learn a lot about different historical figures and their relationships with other figures, and more importantly even, the people that they love. It was truly amazing. I got to hear people like Mauricio Garita and Carlos Sabino talk about the things that truly made them passionate. It was amazing. I highly recommend it. In the future, please do take it as well. Next up, I won't be talking about this one too much because, as you may see, the Printing Course Graduation Expo features Cam Quesada. May we have a quick applause for her? Thank you so much. This was truly top of the line for me. I really loved it. Cam was presenting some of the pictures that she took, mostly in, where was it? In Ayarza, yes, thank you. It was great. She was the first person to appear once you came into the studio, and I very much think, this is my personal belief, but I think that it was very intentional because her photos were amazing. Next up, we had a content creation workshop at Academia PCS. I learned a little bit about the marketing and strategies behind content creation online, especially on Facebook, Instagram, other different social media platforms. It was really inspiring and very eye-opening to the world that I hadn't been able to take a look at as much previously. And lastly, I also won't be talking too much about this right now, but it was a beginner level Japanese test. at the end of my 24 weeks taking my Japanese course, I had to take a test to tell me whether or not I was ready to go on to an intermediate level. As you can see, on the left and right are a couple of the pages that I used to practice my Japanese knowledge, and the middle is the final diploma. Next up, we will see my sozo sareta experiences, or my attended experiences, or created experiences, sorry. First off, I had Kanji for Dummies, where I basically taught people a little bit about how to use the Japanese characters called kanji, which were borrowed from China. As you can see, some of them are very clear about what exactly they're supposed to represent. For example, this one on the right, it represents a chief. Patricia Betancourt was able to attend, and at the very end, we talked a little bit about the meaning of her last name and how we could be able to translate it into kanji. Next up, I had my experience co-creating cool courses in which some of the book campers and CAM were able to join me in basically doing a quick brainstorm about which courses we might be able to take in the next semester. I was able to basically get a little bit of a vibe about what exactly the book campers were interested in, and I believe it helped them to be able to know which students they might be able to take courses with together in the future. And lastly, we also have Let's Learn Mandarin, in which I taught Maria and Jose a little bit about how to speak in basic Mandarin Chinese sentences. I am truly proud of you guys for this one. You guys did great. You were learning very fast. As you can see on the right, there is Maria's annotations throughout the experience. And next up, we have my attended experiences, or Sanka Shita Taiken. Some of the experiences that I attended were Eileen's Fashion Identity Bundle, which were 3 experiences all about your personal fashion identity, and including color theory and basically a little bit about the shape of people's bodies. It was truly amazing. I loved it. I discovered a lot of things that I didn't know before, and I discovered how best it would be to dress myself. Next up, we also had Nina's experience on sleep hygiene, in which we learned a little bit about what it means to have hygienic sleep, which isn't just being in a clean bed, but rather having a good schedule to go to bed, having a good ambiente, among other things. It was truly great. I loved it. Next up, we have Graphic Culture and Identity by Ines, in which we learned a little bit about the culture behind graphic design in East Asian countries, like for example, China, Japan, and Korea. We learned a little bit about what makes them similar to each other, and a little bit about what makes them different, the history behind it. It was amazing. Thank you. Next up, we have Create Your Own Tote Bag by Cam Quesada, in which we got to, as the name says, create our own tote bags based on a design of our choice. Here you can see me sewing my tote bag. If you're wondering where the pictures of Cam are, I kind of forgot to take them because I was so enthralled. And then we have What is Bitcoin by Deo Lara, in which we learned a little bit about the system behind cryptocurrencies, why they work, and some of the pros and cons of investing in it. And lastly, we also have Música Nihilismo by Jose Santos, in which we learned a little bit about the theory behind music, why it's important, and a little bit about the music that we personally listen to. And lastly, we have Watashi no Milestone, or My Milestone, which was to learn Japanese to a level good enough to read and understand a basic children's book in Japanese. Did I fully reach my milestone? Yes, kind of. So, for example, here are my notes for the course that I was taking. Currently, I've been taking it for about 8 months, and it's been honestly a struggle to keep up with it day by day, but I find peace in it, I find fun. I love my teachers and my classmates. Truly, it's amazing. Academia Europea, I highly recommend it. Here, I have a little bit of correspondence that I had with a pen pal, mostly in Japanese. Some of it I had to Google Translate to be able to either understand or get across, but most of it is just from my own inspiration. And lastly, we have the final evaluation, which consisted in an oral evaluation with my professor at the time. The teacher would ask a question in Japanese, and I would have to respond also in Japanese. The teacher was not allowed to help me in any way unless I asked the question 100% in Japanese. It was as if they didn't understand any Spanish or English. The final average grade throughout the course has been 84.73%. The reason why I say that I kind of reached the milestone is because this helps me more in professional settings. For example, I'm able to read product descriptions essentially perfectly at this point. However, children's books have a lot of basic vocabulary that I haven't gotten the chance to see because it's not something that an adult would see first. So even though I didn't reach the exact point of my milestone, I still consider it as a 100% win. And lastly, will I continue with this after the semester? I respond, yes. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much.
Hola, bienvenidos, gracias por estar aquí. Yo soy Matías Estrada y este es mi 5º semestre en el MPC con una concentración en estrategia y pensamiento multidisciplinario. Les voy a presentar cuáles son los resultados de mi Experiential Learning del 2024.2. Comenzando con las experiencias, los experiences, específicamente con los experiences a los que atendí, los que ustedes crearon, que fue súper alegre, siempre genera una sensación de emoción, querer formar parte de los experiences de todos, pero creo que este semestre para todos nosotros fue muy lleno y no nos pudimos ver tanto, pero a los que pude ver, gracias y qué alegre. Estos son los experiences a los que fui. El primero, bueno, no los voy a decir en el orden cronológico, pero el primero que está aquí en la presentación es de Pumpkin Carving, que fue de Lu y de Thomas. Nos la pasamos súper alegre, estuvimos jugando con cuchillos y con casi calabazas. Con la versión chapina de las calabazas pudimos hacer muchas formas que fueran divertidas y compartimos. También fui al experience de Inés, en el cual aprendimos sobre los basics de Korean y aprendimos sobre el abecedario y cómo conjugar palabras. También fui al experience compartido de Isa y María, en el cual aprendimos sobre bracelets y cómo hacer composiciones de joyas para nuestros propios outfits. Y también hicimos unos bracelets para nosotros, fue muy bonito. También fui al experience de anillos de Isa, en el cual aprendimos sobre las gemas y qué favorece mejor a qué cosas según lo que estamos buscando. Y por último, fui también al experience de Inés, que estuve parcialmente ahí, de Graphic Design and Graphic Arts and Identity. Ahora les voy a hablar sobre los experiences que yo creé este semestre. Los experiences que hice este semestre fueron 100% relacionados a los cursos que estaba llevando y también muchos de ustedes pudieron asistir y fue muy alegre compartirlos con ustedes. El primero fue relacionado a mi clase de liderazgo y gestión de proyectos que llevé en la Facultad de Arquitectura dentro de las clases selectivas. En esta clase básicamente aprendimos sobre métodos para llevar a cabo un proyecto a través de métodos tradicionales y ágiles, que son los nuevos, relativamente más experimentales y contemporáneos. Que fue el que les presenté, que gira todo alrededor de Scrum. En hicimos una serie de ejercicios para entender exactamente cómo se lleva a cabo esta metodología y aprender como los elementos básicos para poder investigar más a fondo en un futuro y saber cómo manejar estos proyectos desde la metodología ágil. El segundo fue Árbol de la Fruta, en el cual hubo como una primera y segunda parte. La primera parte fue digital, en la cual les expliqué los conceptos básicos de la sociología, que se relacionó a mi clase de sociología que recibí este semestre, que fue súper emocionante. Ese fue de mis cursos favoritos de este semestre, y entonces lo que hice fue explicarle los 4 tipos de métodos que se suelen utilizar para entender conceptos sociológicos. Y a partir de eso investigamos un poquito o ahondamos un poquito sobre ciertos sociólogos y lo que pensaban estos autores. A partir de eso analizamos 4 pinturas en base a los conceptos sociológicos. Y la segunda parte del experience fue asistir a una exposición de arte en la cual participé como artista y pudimos explorar algunas de las piezas desde los conceptos de la sociología. Y mi último experience se llama Feno, Meno, Leno, Rino, Manu, Ganu, Sinu, Tin. Y la razón por la que se llama así fue porque este semestre estuve recibiendo una clase titulada Iniciación a la crisis de la metafísica, en el cual estuvimos explorando los conceptos principales de la metafísica desde Heidegger y entenderlo desde un sentido histórico. Y muchos de los conceptos que giraron alrededor de la clase eran conceptos de fenomenología. La razón por la que se llama ese trabalenguas del experience es porque la actividad consistía en acercarnos a una experiencia prelingüística de la realidad. Entonces partimos de conceptos grandes para distorsionarlos y alejarnos de ellos y tener algo más completo. La primera actividad consistió en utilizar una serie de elementos y papeles para generar estructuras y composiciones que no siguen las lógicas tradicionales de Occidente. El segundo fue una lectura compartida intentando abstraer el texto que estábamos leyendo, que en este caso fue On the Soul de Aristóteles, lo cual generó ideas muy profundas que estaban abstraídas. Y por último hicimos una especie de collage de objeto y texto con estos papeles que los consideramos una especie de partitura que luego teníamos que leer con los objetos dentro. Ahora vamos a hablar de mi milestone. Mi milestone para este semestre era poder conseguir habilidades y herramientas prácticas de negocios y también asistir en actividades profesionales que me puedan sumergir dentro de un ámbito más real. Entonces, esto es un poco de todo lo que fue y vamos a ver punto por punto. Comenzó con una mentoría que recibí con Emilio Méndez alrededor de todas las 18 semanas, en las cuales estuvimos investigando cómo hacer el manejo de una marca creativa y compleja que a la vez está intentando crecer más y volverse una big company. A partir de esta mentoría se dieron a cabo muchos de mis otros goals, como por ejemplo el de poder participar en diferentes actividades en un ámbito profesional. En las imágenes que pueden ver arriba, lo ayudé a generar esta especie de escena con políticos y personas que tienen influencia dentro de la sociedad para hacer una convocatoria a nivel institucional de leyes para tener un tránsito alterno dentro de la ciudad, como una problemática fundamental que tiene que ser abarcada ahorita mismo. En la segunda lo ayudé a colaborar con el Volcano Innovation Summit de este año para generar una serie de actividades artísticas que pudieran traer un ambiente mucho más íntegro y más profundo dentro del evento. Luego, arriba también puse los proyectos que estuve desarrollando por mi cuenta como artista, que también me ayudaron a poder profundizar más en mis procesos, generar relaciones más profesionales, y entonces les voy a explicar un poquito de lo que fue. En este inicial, pues fue una presentación que pude dar en la Universidad Popular para las personas de los estudiantes de arte, lo cual me hizo tener que reflexionar en mis propios procesos de una manera mucho más específica y ordenada. Y los demás fueron una serie de presentaciones y proyectos que llevé a cabo que me hicieron entender todo de una manera mucho más integral.
Bienvenidos a mi primer Portfolio Day. Estoy súper excited y súper nerviosa también, pero estoy muy emocionada de poderles presentar qué hice. I'm excited to share this portfolio which highlights the milestones and achievements I've reached this semester through experiential learning. Each piece reflects my commitment to exploring new techniques, ideas, merging creativity with purpose. Aquí les hice un mini table of context para que tengan un contexto más o menos de qué vamos a ver. Primero vamos a ver mis personal experiences, después mis attended experiences y por último mi milestone. Mis personal experiences. Primero hice Mumu Ceramics. ¿Qué es Mumu Ceramics? Es un pottery business aquí en Guate. Es de una chava que se llama Estefanía. Es muy pilas. Lo que hice con ella fue estar detrás de la cámara, ayudándola a tomar fotos más editorial, más profesionales para poderse representar como un artista en Guatemala. Si pueden ver aquí, este es uno de sus jarrones. La ayudé a hacer unas fotos un poco creativas y un poco más editorial para poder demostrar su arte. Igual esta. Y esta es un poco más de cómo pues, se representa a ella. No solo hice fotos y estuve behind the scenes, pero también la ayudé participando en expos de arte con ella y haciendo un poco de pottery. Después, Gualán. ¿Qué es Gualán? Con mi hermanita siempre hemos querido hacer charity work. ¿Qué hicimos? Fuimos a Zacapa. Zacapa es un lugar muy pobre, con muy pocos recursos, muy poca educación. Entonces decidimos ir a este pueblito que se llama Gualán. Fuimos a casas, fuimos a repartir mucha comida y empezamos un education program. Les estamos dando becas a muchas mamás que tienen menos de nuestra edad, son mucho más chiquitas que nosotras mujeres, viven del día a día y pues las quisimos ayudar aprendiendo, educándose, no solo de cómo ser mamás, pero también educational wise. Después, Mimi Kids. Mimi Kids es otra tienda aquí en Guatemala, es de cosas para bebés, cosas para niños. Yo las ayudé mucho en el social side, hice muchas cosas para su Instagram, content-wise. Les tomé estas fotos a los niños, which was a really, really hard challenge porque los niños no son fáciles to work with. Pero la verdad me ayudó mucho porque yo siempre he tomado fotos a adultos, a gente con experiencia, modelos y demás. Y pues fue un challenge, pero fue lo lindo de tomarle fotos a los niños es que no están nerviosos, no están posing, están siendo ellos. Después Broadway. Si se dan cuenta, mucho de mi contenido es de videos, fotos y así. Broadway es una marca también aquí de Guatemala de una mujer que se llama Tefa. Ella, no la Tefa que está empezando, pero Tefa es muy pilas, la verdad. Hace shampoos dedicados a tu tipo de pelo. Lo hace muy personal y eso me gustó. Entonces lo que yo hice fue hacerle estos graphics y le tomé fotos. Estuve en the backside of the camera, pero también fui modelo, which I loved, pero también es algo más difícil porque yo estoy used to being behind the cameras. Y también me gustó mucho porque no era solo yo. Eran más niñas, más mujeres, empowered women, tratando de representar una marca hecha por mujeres. Eso es modeling. Modeling, I've always loved modeling. Es un big challenge para mí porque soy un poco introvert, por los que no saben. Modelé para muchas marcas, modelé para esta joyería que se llama Gaby Salazar Jewelry, modelé para un fotógrafo aquí en Guate que se llama Stefan, y por último, esta foto, pues, es un self-portrait para una de mis clases. No se considera tanto como professional modeling, pero siento que es bueno poner una cosa que hice yo desde mi point of view y cómo me miro yo como persona. Y por último, Waram. ¿Qué es Waram? Waram es una empresa que creó mi hermana grande aquí en Guatemala para empower young adults and learn them how to code. I really, really enjoyed this porque fui con Nina. Fue una experiencia divina. Fui a ver a la gente de nuestra edad o más chiquitos que nosotros viendo posibilidad en su futuro, aprendiendo code, viéndole más oportunidades a sus future jobs. Y sí, aquí les hice self-portraits a cada quien, como les estaba explicando. A mí me encanta tomar fotos y quería capturar su esencia. Después mis created experiences. ¿Por qué dirán María hizo un jewelry? experience, nada que ver, pues todo que ver, me encanta el jewelry, me ha gustado toda la vida. Y mi next semester voy a dedicar una de mis clases a jewelry. Lo hice con Isa porque Isa tiene mucha experiencia y me quería educar para entrar un poco más lista a mi próximo semestre. El primero que hicimos se llama Inner Charm. Queríamos hacer algo más personalizado, algo que te reflejara a ti como persona en un little charm, en una pequeña pulsera. ¿Por qué hicimos esto? Porque muchas gemstones y muchas piedras de aquí, del mundo, tienen un significado. Entonces queríamos que cada quien hiciera su gemstone, su pulsera, significándolo a cada uno y representándolo a cada uno. Después, Around the World in Bracelets. ¿Por qué hicimos esto? ¿Por qué desde personalizado algo mucho más general? Pues de aquí empieza la creatividad. De aquí es donde todos aprendemos a hacer joyas nuevas, de donde sale la inspiración de cosas nuevas para hacer, donde salen cosas más bonitas, porque nos inspiramos de joyas en India, en África, de muchas culturas. Y finalmente, The Portrait Project. ¿Por qué quise hacer un experience de portraits? Pues como se están dando cuenta, me encanta tomar portraits, I love it. Pero también porque es muy importante como uno como profesional, como futuros artistas, empresarios, todo captar su esencia en una foto. Y lo hice The Portrait Project porque es como tú te reflejas en una foto. Lo hice con Nico, me encantó hacerla solo con él porque fue un poco más personalizado, un poco más one-on-one, entonces se sintió muy, muy lindo y aprendimos mucho. Después attended experiences, haiku is my favorite one. No es para ser biased, pero my favorite one. Fue un challenge, cada poema me tomó como 20 minutos, los que estaban ahí se pudieron haber dado cuenta, pero fue algo muy lindo porque es algo también muy personalizado, muy abstracto, pero también habla mucho de ti, de cómo eres como persona y lo que piensas. Después Color Psychology, este fue el experience de Aileen, me encantó. Yo siempre he hecho struggle mucho en no vestirme, pero más en combinar como textures, colores, joyas y así. Entonces aquí Aileen nos explicó el meaning de cada color, qué season éramos, qué colores te iban más. Entonces me encantó este project, aprendí mucho de mí. Después Your Fashion Identity, aprendí que de verdad me encantan las joyas, me encanta vestirme. Soy un poco más seria al vestirme, pero he tratado de sacar ese loco de mí interior. Después, What is your style? Este fue el que más me sirvió a mí porque siento que tengo un style muy abstracto, un style muy out there, pero siento que este me ayudó a centrarme más en cuál era mi estilo, cuál era mi gusto, qué cosas me iban más a mí, a mi cuerpo. Y después, Exercise Your Creative Intuition, este fue el experience de Lu, también fue uno de mis favoritos, me encantó. Trató mucho de tu intuición, de cómo eres creativo en el momento. Aquí, como pueden ver, hay unos dices. Lu nos hizo roll some dice y de ahí teníamos que crear una historia, un mundo y todo desde cero en menos de 10 minutos. Entonces fue una experiencia muy enriquecedora. Y por último, mi milestone. Les puedo decir que fue my biggest challenge yet. Aprender un instrumento desde cero no es fácil, es muy difícil. Javi me podrá decir. Y también me gustó, no solo fue un challenge, pero me gustó porque lo pude adaptar mucho a mis clases, a las que estaba recibiendo. Estuve recibiendo Music Production y Songwriting. Lo hice con una maestra virtual de YouTube que no conozco, pero me encantó porque es algo que es un poco más difícil, es un poco más de tú tener que estar presente en las clases, poniendo atención, taking notes, y no solo take notes, pero también es hacerlo, es tocar el piano en lo que estás aprendiendo. Este video es de yo hace 3 meses aprendiendo una canción que se llama No Time to Die de Billie Eilish. Es una de mis canciones favoritas, de verdad, it touches the heart. Para los que no saben, antes de tomar este video lloré como 5 veces tratando de practicarla porque es mucho del tempo, de la rapidez, de cómo fluyen tus manos al tocar el piano. Entonces fue un big challenge. Como pueden ver, ahorita que van a ver el video, mis manos están todas así porque me costaba demasiado, no sabía cómo tocar el piano, me costaba mucho. Pero I tried my best y es un poco vulnerable enseñarles esto porque estaba empezando y da un poco de pena, pero here you go. Y eso es todo el video, fueron como 20 segundos y me tomó 3 horas en practicar. Lágrimas, risa, mi mamá al lado apoyándome. It was hard. Y por último les quiero enseñar pues la canción que estoy haciendo. Si quieren cierren los ojos y just enjoy. Bueno, pues eso es un sneak peek. Eso es un sneak peek de la canción que es un final project de una de mis clases. Y después les quiero dar un último quote que me ayudó mucho a través de este semestre, la verdad. Es, believe in yourself even when it's unclear. The road may be winding, but your dreams are near. With each small step, you'll start to see the path unfolds so naturally. Your strength is boundless, your heart knows the way. Keep moving forward, come what may. In moments of doubt, just trust and breathe. For greatness awaits those who believe. Thank you.
I'm going to present to you, well, you already know me as Nina Fleming. This is my second portfolio day, and I'm so happy to be here to share it with you guys. My goal for this semester was to become a better public speaker so that I would be less nervous here talking to you guys. Just in case, I've brought a paperclip. If any of you understands that, I really, really love you. If you don't, it's okay too, because I love you just for being MPC. But this semester was, yes, about becoming a better speaker, but also about having a sharper mind and taking up things that will help me to exercise my brain in everyday life. So these are some things that I have done. As Maria mentioned, we went to Munitec. It was wonderful to just observe her doing that, being in her element and taking pictures. It's something that I believe I will have to start doing myself, because if it makes you as wonderful and focused as she is, it's something that I would like in my life as well. I also took every opportunity I could this semester to try and talk to people and impart the things that I have learned or that I know, which is why I had a pumpkin carving party with the kids in my neighborhood. I will not show pictures of them because they are children and their parents would come after me, but this is the pumpkin that I made. I also talked to them about the origin of this tradition and why it's important that we as people living in Guatemala keep it up, given that it's something that came from Samhain, the Celtic festival, which has similarities to our Day of the Dead, which I consider to be something important to show them. I was talking to Odra yesterday about how frustrating it can be when your mind doesn't do what you want it to. That is something I have struggled with for many years. Due to the stroke I had as a child, I have trouble with numbers and math. So this semester I said to myself, you will not let that be a hindrance to you. it is. But I downloaded Duolingo for math, and it's something I've been doing every day for the entirety of the semester, and something that I plan to continue doing. Lastly, one of my personal experiences that I had is that I attended a retirement ceremony in DC for my aunt Aurora, who was a captain in the Coast Guard and who was in active duty for 30 years before her retirement this month. They flew a flag for her in the Pentagon, and they did a lot of very special things for her, but aside from that, I just was able to take in the beauty of the city as well as Boston. This is the public library. I was in Boston after DC, which was also something very special for me because it helped me to think more about what I want to do in my time in MPC, and that is why, as of now, I've chosen that my focus is going to be library sciences. A thing that has been very hard for me with experiential learning is having a class without a teacher. And so I was asking myself, why do I have to have a class without a teacher? The truth is, I don't. I don't have a class without a teacher. You all are my teacher. I'm learning from each and every one of you. And these are the experiences I went to. I really wish I could have gone to more. I was unfortunately not here for a part of the semester. And due to that, I missed some of the experiences of the people that I wanted to support in their experiential learnings as well. But I learn from you even if I'm not there when you're talking and presenting. But anyways, I was there for Eileen's experience about how you dress yourself. If you noticed, Eileen, I tried to follow your instructions. I don't know if I succeeded. I really tried. And also Thomas's experience about what colors are good to wear. This is not so bright. I'm so sorry, my guy. I have to go shopping. And Inez said that the Korean alphabet is so easy that anyone can learn it in a week. I'm afraid I'm the exception. But I have to say, these last two were some of my favorite experiences I've been to. Julia, my darling, I love you with my whole heart. You're my sister, and I love history as much as you do. It was so special to be able to learn from you about your course about medieval times. That was really special for me. And also Diego had his tips from an old guy. That wasn't what it was, but it was very special. And Diego said you have to, pardon, you must not fear failure because it is something that's your friend. And that is something I'm learning slowly. I still have a ways to go, Diego. But thank you for saying that to me. I needed it. Also, like I said, I really wanted to pay special attention to people and the way they were speaking. At the retirement ceremony for my aunt, I was able to listen to some really great speakers. The first of which was Deputy Secretary Polly Trottenberg, who works for the U.S. Department of Transport. And she's a really fantastic speaker. I was able to listen to the speech she gave for my aunt. She spent the entire time behind a podium, so it made me think maybe I should do that, but no, I shouldn't, because this is MPC and we do things differently. But she also said she studied liberal arts, which made me super happy. And that is something that I will carry with me the rest of my time at MPC. There is a way to go. There is an end of the road for liberal arts students. I think we're told a lot of the time, what are you going to do with liberal arts? A lot. She's the Deputy Secretary of Transport. Look at her. One of you guys might be something like that in the future, or it could even be me, who knows? But that's not the only way. I also got to listen to Rear Admiral Rebecca Orr, a dear friend of my family's, and also Captain Heather Mattern, who spoke very differently than Miss Polly Trottenberg, but they were still strong speakers, which is something that I hope to emulate in my future public speaking. I'm not sure that I have, but I hope I'm able to in the future. As for experiences that I created, as lovely Nico said, my first experience was about sleep, in which I talked about what you should do in order to sleep well. These are things that are very important to us as students. Oftentimes they are things we neglect. So we talked about those things, then we read some poetry. And afterwards I went home and I listened to not a single word that I said. As for my second two experiences, it was one experience divided in two parts. It was talking about shadow boxes. As I explained to the people who went to my experience, when a sailor takes their last voyage, it was considered bad luck in the 1700s for their shadow to hit the pier before they were off the ship. So to combat this, the captains of the boats and the rest of their crewmates would give them a shadow box, which was a box that contained aspects of their futures, of their past self, while they were a member of the crew aboard the ship. And that was something ceremonial that they did for my aunt, which I found very special, and so I wanted to incorporate it here at MPC because I don't think it only applies to sailors. I think anyone can keep a shadow box and have it remind them of who they were, because that person isn't entirely gone. It's something that still remains, as my friends who are in the metaphysics course with me will know. Even when there's change, there's something that remains there. And that is why the first part of the experience, we talked about what a shadow box was, what you could get out of it. And for the second part, we made our own shadow boxes, in which mine included a Broadway ticket and tea tin from London, which are childhood dreams of mine. I doubt I will be a Broadway actress. I have so much trouble public speaking. Imagine singing in public would be terrible. But that's what my shadow box contained, and Nico showed us the things in his shadow box, which were bracelets and so many lovely things from his childhood. I'm so grateful for the people that attended my experiences. I really hope that I can go to more of your guys' experiences in the future. I really do learn so much from everyone. And then on that note, I didn't know Roberto very well. I only met him a few times, but the times I did speak to him, he always had a smile. And I think that is something we can all learn from him. Smile, because even if it's hard right now, it's your job to keep going, and it's your job to persevere. These are the highlights of my experiential learning. A really lovely thing that happened to me. My aunt had her retirement ceremony at the Women's Military Museum in DC. And after the ceremony was over, we were able to walk around. And I went into the room for the Vietnam War. And I was looking at this memorial talking about different stories of different soldiers that were in that war. And all of a sudden, a little voice behind me says, "Oh, That's the war I fought in. And I turned around and there was Miss Renee Hattern, who is the mother of the captain who spoke in the ceremony, and she was an Air Force pilot during the war. And I nearly cried, guys. She was so lovely. She was this old lady, nearly in her 90s. And I didn't speak to her a long time, but she had such a kind presence that made me think, I can do it, probably. And secondly, I'm really so grateful for Julia. I had the opportunity to take a course with her this semester, our course on women's history. But it's not even just Julia. It's the MPC, it's being here. Last semester was all about struggling in the dark. This semester was about learning to walk accompanied in the light. I'm really looking forward to be able to do more things alongside all of you. That's my favorite thing about MPC. The community here is unlike any other. I'm often told, you're always alone. You don't show up to the ooh and do stuff with people. Thank you, Dad. But all that horrible feeling that I get when I'm told things like that disappears when I'm here with you guys. I'm so thankful for you guys. And that's something that I want to keep cultivating throughout these years that I'm here. And it's not something that ends when you leave MPC. Sochi, hi. I love you. Thank you for being here. What else? These are some things that I learned about myself this semester. I am not very organized. I said at the beginning of the semester, yeah, I can read this book. This can be my experiential learning. And it wasn't. I struggled very much to be organized, so that's my experiential learning for next semester. I'm gonna try to be more organized, keep a reading log, do stuff like that. Also, I scare easily, very easily. But that's not a reason to stop. I am capable of challenging myself in any way I wish. This is me doing archery. It's something I hadn't done properly in a while, but it's something that I hope to continue doing throughout the next semester and throughout the rest of my life, because it teaches you discipline, it teaches you that you are capable of so many things. And often when I talk about the sport of archery, I say how I believe it is a metaphor, a beautiful metaphor for life, and that the arrow goes where your eyes go. So look towards the future all the time. It's within your reach. I love the quote that Maria shared with us, your dreams are near. I struggle to remind myself of that all the time, but that's something I'm working on, and next semester will probably be better. And also, I can afford to stop and breathe when it all becomes too much for me. That's my dog, Dobby. I included him. You know him, you love him, he loves you too. I think it's very important to remind ourselves that even if we see the finish line, even if we believe we shouldn't stop, it's good to look around. Why? Well, I started this semester giving you guys a quote by William Shakespeare. Now I'm giving you one by a very beautiful, powerful woman that I would have liked to speak more about in our class, Julita. Emily Dickinson. Forever is composed of nows. Look around you. Take in the now. It's not going to be there forever. But even if you think you're forgetting, I take the lesson of the shadow box. We carry things with us always. And it's still something that I'm learning, but it's a process that I'm willing to carry with me as long as I'm at MPC and even beyond. So thank you guys for accompanying me.
Hello everybody, welcome to my first portfolio day. Titled, Yay, I super duper love learning. Remember this whole thing? This was my vision board for the very beginning of the semester. I was super pumped. This semester was about learning, my first time being a fellow, new things, everything's changing. And I was all like, I'm 100% the queen of experiential learning, I'm 100% the queen of fellowship. I did my first experience. I started really strong, teaching you guys a bit about Korean, basic phrases, alphabet, how to write your own name. I also started with my milestone, which I will talk about later. Drawing, doing my creative projects. Also did my first personal experience, which was going to the circus, which was very exciting. It's a dying art. Don't let it die. Go to a circus. And I also did my first experiences, attended experiences with Eileen about color psychology and style. But surprisingly, short after that start, I was all like, wait, actually this is very terrible. I hate this is not fun, and I don't super duper love learning. What happened? I don't think I knew what was going on, what I was supposed to be doing, or what was supposed to be going on, or how to get it going. I got a bit stuck, especially in experiential learning, because it felt really abstract, right? So no experiences, I was all confused, started stressed. So I had to go back to my roots. I had to ask the king of motivation, been there, done that, some strength. And I kind of reminded myself, I forgot the most crucial thing about this whole semester for me. After beating myself up unnecessarily, that's me. In the words of one of my favorite people on earth, it's better to know how to learn than to learn how to know, by Dr. Seuss. So that's when I came to the conclusion that this was about learning, but one can never be a master of learning, right? So I came up with the learning curve thing, like it's my own theory and never existed before, right? So let me break it down for you, how this experiential learning was for me. I decided that I needed to step out of my loop, because my problem with creating experiences was that I wanted to offer something really good to you guys, academic, something that share something about my process and my semester about East Asian films, creativity, literature, etc., but also something fun, right? Like my first experience with Kahoot, prizes, laughs, but it's really hard to do that, right? But then I decided that I was just gonna go with the flow, do something about graphic arts and identity, which is something that I truly enjoy. It comes from my love for K-pop and mangas. So I created that for you. I was really thankful that you got something out of that, a lot of history, things that we never think about. And then I also did haikus more like on the end of the semester, because part of my milestone is about contemplation, right? And learning how to convey ideas and connect with things from a different perspective. So that was something to unwind. I know some of you guys had some struggles there, but I think it was really fun and I was really happy to do this, right? Next up was my amazing attended experiences. I had so much fun with you guys. I thought it was gonna be a bit difficult, with schedules and stuff. I was concerned, maybe I need to attend 3, that's the minimum, and I ended up going to a lot of them. I went to 2 of Eileen's experiences, which I already mentioned. I also went to Luz about creative intuition, where I learned a lot about myself and how I communicate my ideas. Actually was very good for my milestone. I also went to 2 of jewelry by Isa and Maria, which were really great, connecting with something that feels actually very contemplative to me, which is beading and jewelry, but also people, right? And I also went to Matias' experiences about sociology and art, which was really, really fun. And this was a crucial moment for me, attending you guys' experiences, because in all the pictures while I was looking for them, curating this, we're always laughing, we're always having a good time. There's nothing to be stressed and miserable about. And that was, I think, something that I was able to translate into my milestone, which was about trying to enhance my learning process by being able to have an aesthetic response and communicating my ideas in different ways. Part of my choice in doing this was because I didn't really want to stray too far from my comfort zone, because this is my first experiential learning, my first semester in fellowship. So I wanted to be out of my comfort zone, but really, really being able to reach it. So what happened here, right? I wanted to do something that was creative, that I had time for contemplation and doing something outside of just merely academic way of communicating and understanding my courses. I did a lot of journaling. I was able to communicate a lot of my ideas and was able to reach to personal things, I would say. I had a lot of personal struggles outside of the semester and MPC. And my courses actually allowed me to kind of like reach full circle with creativity here. I also did Inktober, which was doing one drawing every single day the whole month of October, sorry. Boy, that was difficult. But I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of fun things, like I want to highlight this one over here. Oh, sorry. Which is this wonky grid, which was about straying away from only doing things that are beautiful, which is something that I always want to do, perfect stuff, doing everything just right. And the wonky grid is about just doing something really messed up intentionally, right? And also my amazing personal experiences. This was really hard because I realized I hate leaving my house and doing things I've never done before. So it was a struggle, but I helped Thomas with one of his homeworks. I had to take pictures, dress up. I hate doing that, so it's difficult. And I decided that because I hate doing that, it's a good way to also enhance this idea of communicating my ideas in different ways. So I did 2 different modeling gigs. Outside of that, I did some modeling for a restaurant and also for a clothing brand. It was really nice to being able to communicate with someone else, take direction, but also communicate with my body, which is something that I struggle with a lot. The circus, which I already mentioned, I also went to a charity event about liquor tasting, which taught me a lot about the process of making liquor in Latin America specifically. And also went to some art exhibits of my sister. I participated in one of C's dialogues about freedom and libertarian ideas, which was very interesting. And I also had a lot of fun with you guys at the MP camp. I did a museum. I did so many things. And so what did I get out of all of this? The world doesn't revolve around me. And that doesn't mean that I'm self-centered. It just means that I usually think that I have to do everything by myself and that I do everything in my own little universe. And I think that's why I struggle a lot, because I want to do everything the way I think it's supposed to do, and sometimes I forget to reach out. So what I learned the most is that I want to thank everybody, because the thing I learned the most was everyone has something to offer to me, and you guys have taught me so much this semester. I can reach out to you guys. You guys have different perspectives. You're experts in ways that I'm not at MPC. So you're awesome, and I learned so much from you. Thank you.
Hola a todos, yo soy Isa y hoy les voy a presentar mi portfolio day. Primero voy a empezar con las Attended Experiences. Primero fui a este de Korean Writing de Inés, donde, como varios ya dijeron, aprendimos un poco del alfabeto, los básicos, pudimos escribir nuestros nombres y pudimos como entender un poquito del vocabulario básico en coreano. Luego, Fashion de Aileen. El que puse aquí fue más que todo, pues el que más me gustó de los 2 que fui, sobre qué tipo de ropa va con nuestro tipo de cuerpo. Entonces, como ya vamos entendiendo más. Y el tercero de Matías, de Fenomenología, el título largo que mencionó, donde estuvimos haciendo varios ejercicios en los cuales como nos alejábamos de la lógica de la existencia de otros objetos. Entonces nos sentíamos más completos y en sintonía con los otros objetos y todos los ejercicios que ya explicó. Y los extras a los que fui al otro de Aileen, donde vimos sobre los colores, qué significan y cuáles nos van bien. También fui al de Graphic Design de Inés y al de Haikus de Inés. Ahora las que yo hice, mis done experiences. Primero hice este de anillos, en los cuales, en el cual hablé más que todo en qué buscar en un anillo cuando vamos a comprar, como una buena estructura, un buen montaje y engastado, que es como cómo ponen la piedra en el círculo. Em, qué tipo de gemas podemos usar para qué tipo de lo que estamos buscando, cómo se van marcando y clasificando. El siguiente es el que hice con María de collares. Aquí hablamos un poquito sobre las gemas y piedras preciosas que hay. Y como no tenemos, obviamente, gemas, compramos beads de los colores de estas gemas e hicimos unos collares. Y junto con esto también hablamos de qué tipo de escote va con qué tipo de collar para que podamos tener un outfit mejor y con más sintonía. Y el último, también con María hicimos uno de bracelets, que fue que estuvimos investigando diferentes países y la misma dinámica de traer diferentes beads de diferentes colores para poder inspirarnos de otras culturas, ya que eso es algo bien importante dentro de la joyería, todas las influencias que hay alrededor del mundo. Y tuvimos nuestros bracelets. Ahora las personal experiences, que son las individuales. Primero hice que dentro de mi clase de dibujo yo dije mucho que no me parecía bien que se pintara y se dibujara con proyector. Entonces me dijeron, pues lo vas a hacer. Y yo, ay no. Entonces, pues sí puedo decir que no es tan como cheating como lo pensaba, pero igual no me gusta, ¿verdad? Em, Me gusta hacer el dibujo desde cero, me gusta cambiar de lugar las cosas. En cambio aquí solo fue poner la foto, seguir y ya. Pero el shading nadie te lo puede hacer, ni se hace con proyector. Entonces eso toma el mismo tiempo que el shading normal, es un shortcut. Luego fui a esta exposición de Jung y Sueños, que mezcla todo el psicoanálisis y arte, que es un tema que vi el semestre pasado, pero sí ha sido fuertemente influenciado mi trabajo por esto. Entonces me pareció súper interesante ver este tipo de trabajos tan out of the box y siempre desde la misma línea que a mí me encanta. Entonces ir a esto me dio muchas ideas, mucha inspiración de cómo expresar ciertas cosas con simbología y como composiciones distintas. Pues después está este de un payaso. Como muchos ya saben, el payaso es bastante repetitivo en mi trabajo, pero yo quería salir un poquito de la máscara, porque es una máscara lo que siempre hago. Entonces aquí el payaso representa toda la impulsividad, emoción, fuerza, locura, sin ningún límite. Entonces quería como reforzar ese sentimiento como estirando la figura, mostrando una cara de desesperación que busca sacar toda esta emoción, que es algo que tampoco había hecho. Entonces, sí. Luego, la verdad es mi favorito, que, bueno, hice un performance para una clase, pero eso no es, sino que es todo el proceso de conceptualización y darle literalmente vida a estos personajes, que aquí sería una estrella y un payaso. Cómo hacer una máscara que funcione para un performance, me tuve que poner a buscar cómo hacerlo, pintarlas desde cero, fue una experiencia bastante art attack, la verdad. Pero me encantó porque, o sea, yo realmente podía decidir qué hacer, le puse como unos detalles con las beats que tenía. Y también nunca había hecho como no había sido parte como de una producción, fue bastante DIY, la verdad, pero nunca había hecho como la organización de un storyboard. Analu me ayudó, ella tomó las fotos, ella me ayudó a grabar todo, pero hicimos un storyboard, como hice un voiceover, tuve que hacer un poema para hacer eso. Entonces creo que fue una experiencia nueva que planeo seguir indagando en el performance más cinematográfico como en el formato de corto. Creo que ahí es donde yo logro como con movimientos de cámara, con movimientos de SMI y este tipo de trajes y cambios, expresar con más fuerza lo que me gustaría decir. Y por último, bueno, casi último, hice este también para mi curso de joyería. En realidad ya no es como diseño de joyería porque tuvo un turn. Tenía que aprender muchísimas cosas antes de empezar a hacer el diseño. Entonces, pues ahorita me la pasé leyendo y leyendo y leyendo de gemas y todo, pero como un warm-up para mi final project, que no es directamente design, pero hice un curso de Skillshare de cómo dibujar y pintar gemas. Y aquí pude ya entender un poquito más cómo se reflejan las luces dentro de la misma gema. Entonces, los diferentes cortes, cuáles le dan como más potencia a la piedra, con diferentes ejercicios. Empecé como este tipo de ejercicios, luego unos círculos más grandes, otro corte de baguette. Y ya como el final project de ese curso era hacer unos anillos. Entonces, aquí hice el peridoto, que es mi birthstone, y el cuarzo rosado, que lo comparto con mi mamá y mi hermana como símbolo de unión. Entonces es especial para mí. Y eso me llevó a una parte más artística, como aún no estoy diseñando. Esto no tiene nada de diseño, es imposible que se pueda hacer algo así, pero es un autorretrato a partir de gemas. Entonces yo agarré las gemas que más me han gustado, desde cómo se forman, su significado, sus usos en la antigüedad y todo eso. Entonces hice un autorretrato que mostrara ciertos atributos de mi persona a través de las piedras. Y aquí puse un cuarzo rosado, puse un ojo de gato, este como cadena son ámbar, el peridoto y hematita. Y esos cada uno tiene su significado más extenso, pero por tiempo no lo explicaré ahorita. Y por último, mi milestone, que la verdad, más allá de aprender sobre lo que dije que iba a aprender, que es Music Production, y que me di cuenta que necesito más guía, más support en ese aspecto, aprendí de que hay que calmarse, que yo tenía pensado venir y hacer una canción y poder hacer de todo, pero no me di cuenta otra vez de lo que tenía que aprender antes que de crear este gran proyecto que tenía en mi mente. Entonces empecé... Empecé primero con este libro de Music Theory, que me frustró un montón, y lo peor es que dice que es for idiots. Pero como todo era escrito, todo era escrito, yo no tengo un piano, hay un montón de cosas que escritas solo me frustré demasiado, y le di varios chances, entonces lo dejé y me metí a Skillshare. La verdad, muy recomendado Skillshare, muy cool. Y tuve este curso como de Music Production para beginners. Y estuve viendo un montón de cosas como la estructura de una canción básica pop, como Sabrina Carpenter, no sé, algo así. Y como que toda la estructura, los versos, el chord progression y cómo irte cambiando de tono sin que se corte y se escuche feo. También aquí estuve viendo algunas chords para tener ahí. Y en realidad fue más que todo tomar notas y tener esto como una reserva para ya poder ejecutar algo más complejo. Pero diría que sí, llegué a mi milestone, no de la manera que yo esperaba, porque sí aprendí, sí me di cuenta de algo más allá, que es entender que no podemos hacer todo al mismo tiempo y cuando queremos, y tomarme mi tiempo, porque me frustré un montón con esto, la verdad. Pero al final, la verdad, me siento muy completa con todo lo que estoy aprendiendo, porque no solo junté el design, que tal vez todavía no estoy full, pero todo eso lo metí con lo artístico y lo pude unir de una manera que me va a servir mucho para el futuro. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, a la hora de intentar nombrar esta presentación, muchas ideas se me vinieron por la cabeza, solo portafolio de Experiential Learning, pero me di cuenta que este semestre fue algo diferente y pues, además de ser un intento de inspiración a Depeche Mode con su álbum Sounds of the Universe, dije, bueno, pongámosle Sounds of the Cosmos porque suena chilero y me describe, ¿por qué no, verdad? Entonces, mi nombre es José Santos y les voy a presentar mi Experiential Learning este semestre. Primero de todo, mi experiential learning y más importante mi milestone fue intentar aprender sobre nihilismo. ¿Por qué? Porque en un sentido académico y lo que puse en el contrato fue simplemente me interesa saber lo que es. Creo que en el mundo actual el nihilismo es un elemento muy claro, pero en el sentido personal es porque no me gustaba y pues quería conseguir argumentos para intentar atacar al nihilismo. Obviamente eso suena muy egocéntrico, tal vez muy airado, pero me equivoqué. ¿Por qué? Porque me di cuenta que el nihilismo es algo más que lo que se vende. Pero primero hablemos de mi milestone. Mi milestone eran leer 2 libros de Nietzsche, Así habló Zaratustra, Beyond Good and Evil, y lo más importante, La Gaia Ciencia. Tristemente solo logré leer La Gaia Ciencia, pero no estoy tan triste sobre eso. ¿Por qué? Porque a la hora de solo poder leer un libro, me di cuenta que me gustó. Pero no solo es el gusto de, bueno, la vida no vale nada, nada tiene un significado fijo, sino lo que va dentro del nihilismo, de la capa del nihilismo. Pero bueno, ¿qué es lo que me gustó del nihilismo? Cómo habla del honor, cómo habla de la persona propia, cómo tenemos que mejorar en una sociedad que va cambiando y a veces no nos gusta cómo cambia. Tenemos que encontrar una happiness dentro de todo el vacío que se encuentra en la vida, y lo que más me gustó fue la evolución propia. No lo tengo a la mano, pero una de las, digamos, meditaciones, de los puntos que Nietzsche hace es a la hora de abarcar una aventura estudiantil, una aventura personal. Siempre sentimos que nos movemos, siempre que sentimos que nos vamos a un lado, pero cuando terminamos esa aventura y vemos lo que tenemos atrás, sentimos que estamos en casa. Toda la tragedia, todo lo bueno, todo, de cierta manera, lo que nos hizo hacer evolucionar es nuestro propio camino. Lo que no me gustó, creo que es una mentalidad muy radicalizada, o es bueno o es malo, o es blanco o es negro. Eso no va muy bien conmigo porque creo que dentro de todas las cosas hay algo bueno y algo malo, a veces más malo, a veces más bueno, pero I don't like. Siento que es una mentalidad, una rama filosófica que solo o es muy complicada sacarla de su tiempo. Obviamente todos los autores tienen una cierta carga histórica, Aristóteles con su machismo, lastimosamente tenemos a los romanos, también con el machismo, mucho machismo, no importa por dónde se vayan, pero creo que con Nietzsche es mucho más complicado porque él está hablando no solo desde una perspectiva pesimista, sino que también machista. Entonces tenemos todo el club. Y como ya he mencionado antes, no hay un punto medio. ¿Por qué no hay un punto medio? Por la radicalización. Las cosas no tienen un significado, las cosas no tienen una razón. ¿Qué podemos hacer? Vivir, tal vez no tristes, pero solo vivir. Entonces ahora, ¿dónde me encuentro con el nihilismo? Me encuentro en un punto de respeto. Creo que el nihilismo es una gran rama filosófica que ustedes pueden leer, se las recomiendo que lean, y no solo guiarse por lo gris, por lo negro, por lo blanco, por el pesimismo, sino que agarrar lo que Nietzsche dice, agarrar lo que él intenta representar y volverlo suyo. Pues como de cierta manera yo intenté volverlo mío. Bueno, siguiente aspecto, personal experiences. Estas van no organizadas de lo más importante a lo menos importante, sino que de lo personal a un poco más académico. Bueno, primero fue MP Camp, el SU. ¿Por qué? Porque fue un momento de paz dentro de todo el caos que es el MPC, ya que tenemos cursos, tenemos que entregar grading forms, tenemos que entregar mentores, tenemos que entregar muchas cosas y cada uno está a su bola. Tener este momento de convivencia y paz dentro de un espacio tan amplio, tan vivo, donde no solo importa uno, sino que importa el ambiente, se sintió muy bonito. La razón por la que puse al mono con bigote es porque me recordó a mí, chiquito, ansioso, y pues tal vez vive en una jaula, pero intenta ser feliz. Después, trying to get some sleep. Como ustedes saben, yo tengo muchos problemas a la hora de dormir, a veces solo duermo 2 horas, a veces solo duermo 3 horas, a veces no duermo. Entonces intenté hacer algo diferente este semestre. Bueno, tengamos 1 hora de dormir, y si no tengo 1 hora de dormir, si me tengo que ir de largo, que no pase tanto. Estas fueron las mejores capturas que encontré, a las que me dejaban mejor, porque dentro del camino hubieron muchos fallos, pero logré tener un promedio de 6 horas de sueño, que ya es mucho para mí, porque como saben, a veces solo duermo 2 o 3 horas. All stuff with new eyes. Gracias a mi curso de historia, aprendí más sobre el medievo. Entonces, a la hora de que me dijeran, bueno, anda a una iglesia a investigar, me gustó mucho porque pude ver ya la iglesia de otro tipo de forma, qué tipo de infraestructura tiene, prerrománico, románico, gótico, por qué Dios está dibujado de ciertas formas, como el buen pastor, el pantocrátor, o incluso la crucifixión. Poder darle un significado a las cosas que hago, a las cosas que alguna vez vi, pues me llena de orgullo y pues creo que es algo que me hace crecer. En What is Beyond Ourselves, pues como todos ustedes saben, 1 de noviembre es cuando uno va al cementerio. Si no van al cementerio, pues cuando uno recuerda a los que se han ido. Y pues fue una experiencia muy personal, debido a que fui con mi madre, fui con mi hermana, fuimos con la familia. En uno de esos momentos, cuando íbamos a ir a la tumba de mi abuelo biológico, empezó a hablarle a mi mamá, es cómo era, porque nunca lo conocí. Cuando llegamos a la tumba, pues me contó toda su historia, cómo creció. Lastimosamente no fue una persona tan buena, pero no puedo opinar en ese aspecto porque nunca lo conocí. Entonces, cuando vi el nombre me quedé algo sorprendido porque me dijo, se llamaba York. Y es como, qué raro el nombre York. Y le pregunté, bueno, entonces, ¿por qué se llama York? Me dijo que era porque su abuela le gustaba todo el mundo de lo alemán, estudió en una escuela alemana hasta sexto primaria. Por motivos del país, pues la sacaron cuando iba a punto de cursar a primero básico, pero le gustó toda esa cultura. Pero me di cuenta de algo mucho más profundo. ¿Qué es lo que dejamos a la hora de irnos? Por ejemplo, yo puedo recordar a las personas que se fueron como personas amables, como personas felices. Puedo recordar a muchas personas de esa forma. Roberto, por ejemplo, un líder muy amigable, aunque nunca lo conocí personalmente, pero me hizo preguntarme qué es lo que soy yo de cierta forma. Pues me di cuenta que soy yo. Al final cada uno tiene su propia forma de ser. Algunos me conocerán como José, algunos me conocerán como el tipo que viene una vez al mes, aunque venga una vez a la semana, o lo intento. Hoy tal vez a algunas personas no les interesa conocerme y eso está completamente bien porque el mundo es así. Y me di cuenta que a veces esta visión poco mortal, esta visión de, bueno, quiero hacer todo lo que quiero hacer en vida, no nos deja ver cómo hemos crecido. Alejándonos de lo personal, vi en El Nombre de la Rosa, de nuevo por mi clase de historia. Lo que me inspiró esta película fue a la hora de editar. Vi la película, vi cómo estaba editada y dije, wow, yo quiero hacer eso, yo quiero hacer estas películas con un carácter más profundo, con un carácter más histórico, aunque no respeta la historia tanto, pero ahí va. Y lo último, y no voy a enseñar todavía porque va a ser para el Expo, ha sido la edición. He estado practicando DaVinci y creo que dentro de lo poco que puedo ser creativo, la edición me lo permite ser más. Es mi playground y pues me gusta hacerlo porque me siento libre. Y ahora, Creative Experiences que hice, la primera fue sobre todos los recursos que he encontrado a la hora del semestre, imágenes de stock, videos para editar, programas para escribir un poco mejor. Gracias, Julia, por venir. La segunda, como ya habló Nico, ha sido una más personal. Con todo el cambio que surgió a la hora de leer nihilismo, me di cuenta que mi visión sobre ciertas cosas había cambiado. Por ejemplo, la música. Pues aunque no lo parezca, tengo sentimientos, ¿verdad? Y pues la música me hace sentir algo. Ese algo puede ser bueno, puede ser malo, puede ser neutro, pero me di cuenta que cambió y pues lo quería compartir. Muchas gracias, Diego, Nico, por venir y por compartir también lo que la música significa para ustedes. Y lo último fue mi playground, compartir con ustedes, o bueno, en este caso con Nico, qué es lo que significa la edición para mí. Aunque fue una experiencia un poco fallida por tiempos, obviamente solo Nico asistió, pero igual fue muy divertido. Le enseñé cómo editar en DaVinci, le enseñé el sonido, el color, más que todo color porque sé que a Nico le gusta más el tema de color, el tema del arte. Y por último, pero no menos importante, fueron las experiencias que asistí. Noté algo diferente a las experiencias que asistí este semestre y fueron mucho más interactivas, no fueron tanto yo solo escuchando, sino que yo participando. Entonces asistí a 2 de Julia, Scrapbooking Workshop, Common Practices in the Middle Ages, una Aileen, What is Your Style, espero que te haya hecho orgullosa. No sé, no soy malo con la ropa. Y la última, Let's Learn Mandarin, con Nico. Fueron experiencias muy entretenidas, estaba muy involucrado, entonces fue una experiencia que me satisfajo, en la que me puse feliz. Y pues por último, y como finalizar, me gustaría compartir una de las citas que más me gustó dentro de la Gaia Ciencia, que es, ¿cuál es el signo de que se ha adquirido la libertad? No avergonzarse ya de uno mismo. Aún sigo en proceso de intentar no Aún sigo en el proceso de intentar ser una mejor versión de mí mismo. Sigo intentando compartir un poco más. Tal vez no lo he logrado, tal vez sí, no sé, ustedes me dirán, pero sí, no se avergüencen y sean libres. Muchas gracias.
These past months have been terrifying, devastating, nauseating. This is now my third portfolio day, my 5th semester, which means that at this point, I am closer to the finish line than to the beginning. And I am scared. Perhaps some of you remember what I said the last time that I stood in front of you. This was me 1 semester ago. And on that day, I talked about confidence and how I've been growing during my MPC journey, next to all of you who have set the bar very high, and all of you who push me and make me do things that I never thought would be possible, and that made me believe that I can do anything that I want. But as I get closer to the day that we won't be together, to the day that this place will no longer be my present, but only a part of my history, I can't help but feeling scared of being on my own, of being out there in this uncontrolled environment that we know as life. I know I still got time, but I am an overthinker, but I also am a dreamer. And if you read my description, which I wrote in my CV, my only job and my only purpose in this life is to make things happen. But I can't make things happen if I'm paralyzed by fear. I know that from experience. So, now that I already have the confidence to try, I dedicated this semester to find the courage to do the things that I'm most afraid of. So, welcome to the horrors of my semester. I've been torn apart and put back together over and over and over again. I'm definitely being over dramatic there because I've enjoyed very much this semester. Every single second of it, it was amazing. It really wasn't that bad. So, here's the list. I worked on my first internship as a production and director assistant of a small theater production, which will be back on the stage on February. If you want to come, you guys are invited. I went to my first movie premiere. I had a meeting with a director to offer my services as an assistant, which led me to being the costume and art assistant on a horror miniseries, which then led me to landing my first job as the head of the art department and prop master for a commercial. I went to the theater not once, but twice. I did equine therapy with my mom, bonding experience, and practiced my leadership skills with horses, which is surprisingly difficult. And I also helped a friend, Isa, on a production for her project, being my first time truly directing a recorded production and truly honoring the fake it till you make it philosophy. And I am now preparing for the Christmas season, in which I will be working as a prop artist and show manager during these final months of the year. If you guys want to book a show, you can also do it. We can talk later. As you can see, it wasn't all too bad. In fact, now that I look back, it was actually pretty good, and I really enjoyed it. I am finally breaking into the industry. I am getting paid. I am surrounded by people that I trust and that I enjoy being with and working with. The future seems bright. But that's the trick, isn't it? Jump scares stop being scary once it's over. The process of getting there, the tension, the uncertainty, I just cannot explain just how devastatingly and exhausting it has been. I have been reborn again and again and again, and the fear remains. A fear of it all falling apart, of not being good enough, of doing a misstep, of not being true to myself, of getting lost in the speed of life. But what I learned the most this semester is that fear and horror changes you. And change, yes, it hurts. And horror films give me a lot of anxiety. But nothing beats the transformation that happens after it's over. What is behind the blood and the screams and the jump scares and the disgust? There is a discovery of a new me, which is also similar to the old me and to the present me. It's really a discovery of myself. And from now on, I am willing to endure the horror of the process, even if I have to fight demons and monsters and masked killers. I will put on a fight. Thank you.
This is my second portfolio day in MPC, and I'm still getting the hang of it. I'm still trying to figure out the ins and outs of what our portfolio day is meant to be. So, first of all, experiences I attended. The first experience I wanted to mention is Jewelry Experiences by Isa and Maria. As you can see, I wear this every day as I can't take it off or it will burst and I'll never be able to get it back again. But it was a super fun experience that let us go into what jewelry can really get to be, right? Second, styling. I attended one of the experiences by Aileen, very beautiful. And of course, I'm studying fashion, I'm studying styling, so it was really interesting to get different perspectives about what fashion can be too. Art. Matias is an artist, and he allowed me to go into what the thought process of art. He allowed me to go into the thought process of art, what goes behind art, and then go in front of the art and judge it in an art expo. And of course, again by Matthias, Phenomenolier Enungantelicius Antilep. You got the idea. Phenomenologia with Matthias about how to deconstruct language and how language can be very stupid. And of course, Lou, creative writing, creativity, very insightful. Experiences created, and as you can tell, that's me, meant to be me. A pumpkin experience, pumpkin carving. It was very fun, very nice to get out there and do something traditional, even if the pumpkins aren't really quite what they were meant to be. It was a Chapin pumpkin carving. Colorimetry, I don't know why the O's are missing there, but colorimetry is something from my styling class that I wanted to impart onto people. Thank you for Cam, Nina, and my brother for attending. It was great to see them try to channel their inner creative side and really get to judge themselves on what color goes well with them. And my third experience, which is next up in a couple weeks, I wanted to invite you, the dynamics of racing. We all can drive cars, but only few of us can drive cars quick. I wanted to teach that up to you. So in a couple weeks, please join me in loops where I will destroy you on the track. Personal experiences. This is where it gets interesting. I went to a fashion show at the very beginning of my semester. It was the first week, and it really set the stage for what was to come. I didn't know it at the time, but now the parallels are insane. This was a fashion show inspired by Zacapa, inspired by narcocultura. That's sadly a big part of what Guatemala is, and especially in the interior of the country, where I'm from. I was able to pick up on these small pieces of machismo and money and just overall violence that leads these people to be what they become, right? And this collection was trying to highlight the problems with the interior of the country. Another one was Salama. I went to Salama with my friends to do some charity work. We were out giving food, víveres, and other stuff for people who are in need. This really made me see personally what they call the deep Guatemala. El desfile, which is a little bit more upbeat. I went to Coban, and for the first time in my life, after 18 years of seeing this from the sidelines, I was able to participate in the desfile épico that happens once a year in Coban. We were able to give out roses to people on the side, and it was so fun giving roses to little girls, to older women, to some guys actually asked for roses too. And it was super, super fun. Next year I will participate on a horse, and I hope that you can be there too. Cortes Finos opened my eyes to what Guatemalan art can be. I went with Matias and Martin, where it was a set of different cortometrajes made by Guatemalan artists. That doesn't look good, that's meant to say shoot. Where Ines helped me out with a homework, and I had a lot of fun. I'm very proud of my work, where I had to do a shoot for different decades, 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s. Now, I have a last personal experience which hasn't happened yet. It's next week. I got invited to participate for Fashion Week, which is the biggest fashion event in Guatemala, and I hope to share it with you when it happens. So, what can I say about my semester experience? As I said, on my first week, I went to a fashion show about the interior del país and its problems, and seeing it in a very negative light, right? Well, throughout the semester, I had the opportunity to really connect with my roots as I have never done before. Being 2 years away from your pueblo can really do that to you, right? I want to go back to where I'm from. Maybe not physically, but at least in spirit. I want to take the spirit that Coban has given me through the years, and I want to apply it to my work. I want to apply it to my life. I want to apply it to who I am as a person. That's why I come dressed like this today. It's not just because it looks amazing, I know. It's because this semester has been kind of a challenge. It's because juggling your life can be a challenge, especially here in Guatemala. It's a rodeo. You really have to take the reins of your horse and control it. Even if it goes all crazy, even if it jumps up on you, whatever you do, you have to hang on. Thank you.
Hola a todos, les voy a presentar este Experiential Learning, que es muy diferente al pasado y la verdad es que es muy simple. Cada semestre se ha caracterizado por darme una enseñanza. El del semestre pasado fue de aprender a decir que no, poner mis límites y saber qué es lo que es para mí y qué es lo que no es para mí. Esta vez es muy simple, pero a la vez parece muy complejo. Esta vez es sobre la identidad y de cómo la encontré finalmente este semestre. Después de 8 años de buscarlo, he encontrado quién soy, he encontrado qué es lo que quiero decir. He transformado lo singular en algo que pueda aportar a mi colectividad y espero que lo haga. Este es parte de lo que yo anoté en uno de mis cursos que me ayudó mucho también para esto, de personal branding, de lo que yo quería hacer, no solo con mi arte, sino como gestora cultural, que es traer la experiencia del arte a las personas para aportarles un sentido de vida como lo ha hecho conmigo. Y pues encontré mis valores, que es la sensibilidad, la creatividad, la autenticidad, espiritualidad, introspección y la conexión. La identidad la podemos dividir en estos 7 aspectos, si lo queremos limitar un poquito, que es life experiences, personal growth and self-reflection, cultural and societal influences, relationships and social roles, career and creative expression, philosophical and spiritual growth, y challenges and resilience. Estos 7 aspectos, cuando cambian o cuando descubrimos algo en cada uno de ellos, es que nuestra identidad se va formando. Y la verdad es que Experiential Learning tocó todos estos. Entonces yo estoy muy agradecida por este curso y en la presentación voy a enseñar más que nada de Experiential Learning, pero hubo muchas otras experiencias que lograron darme esta seguridad y claridad de mi identidad. Y todo lo que voy a hablar ahorita cuenta dentro de la casilla de Life Experiences. Primero, Self-Reflection and Personal Growth. Antes de empezar el semestre logré tomar un curso de estilo. Y esto es algo que puede parecer muy superficial, digo en el exterior, pero me ayudó mucho a reflexionar qué es lo que a mí me gusta, qué es lo que me hace sentir cómoda, cómo yo me quiero expresar. Entonces, aunque parezca algo que es solo de fuera, me hizo reflexionar sobre mí y esta introspección ayudó para mi identidad. esa fue una personal experience. De ahí esto yo lo quise compartir con todos ustedes en mis created experiences que ya hemos hablado. Y más allá de algo superficial, yo quería que también fuera algo que pudiera aportar para que ustedes también pudieran reflexionar sobre qué es su identidad. Luego, Cultural and Societal Influences. Este semestre tuve la oportunidad, y todavía estoy, de trabajar en Arte en Algo. Es una nueva empresa que ahorita a finales de noviembre va a lanzar, en el que soy gestora cultural. Y pues hemos estado trabajando, tampoco puedo mostrar mucho, pero les enseño el Instagram por si quieren seguirlo y apoyarlo luego. Y básicamente esto me enseñó a trabajar en equipo, recibir órdenes, confiar mucho en mí misma, porque ya es como decía Lu, fake it till you make it, ya ahorita ya estoy agarrando el papel y me siento muy contenta. El semestre pasado yo hablé del balance entre el trabajo y la vida personal y puedo decir que esta vez lo tengo claro y ha sido muy diferente. Este es un nuevo comienzo y logro ver un nuevo horizonte. Esa fue una personal experience también. Relationships and social roles. Aquí es donde entran ustedes. He podido convivir con ustedes un poco más este semestre a comparación del pasado. He encontrado que tengo una relación honesta y muy buena y real con ustedes. Y también se ve reflejado en las attended experiences. Fui a las de Julia, a la de Scrum de Matías, a la de Analu y Tomás del Pumpkin, no Pumpkin. Y también aprendí de la primera parte de la experience de Nina. Entonces, esto también me ayuda y es parte de mi identidad. Yo soy quien soy por ustedes también. De Creative Expression o de la carrera, tuve la oportunidad de participar en Latente, que es una exposición que ahorita está en Museo Ixchel con esta obra. Y esta obra surgió ya por toda la reflexión que he hecho con mis cursos y la introspección que he hecho y la identidad, no solo de artista, pero personal. En esta uno, la filosofía que me gusta, que es el taoísmo, y lo logré plasmar en un reto que nos daban 3 piezas y nosotros podíamos hacer lo que quisiéramos. Y también, no puedo mostrar más, pero este es el desarrollo de un personaje para un videojuego que va a surgir el otro año de Leyendas de Guatemala de Miguel Ángel Asturias, y a mí me pidieron que yo hiciera a la Tatuana. Entonces, esto va a ser el otro año y es una colaboración muy bonita porque si todo va bien vamos a poder estar hasta en los... vamos a hacer una obra luego, esto es como más de videojuego, pero la obra va a poder estar en el libro de Miguel Ángel Asturias. Luego, Philosophical and Spiritual, esto es más personal, pero lo que puedo compartir es que si yo no hubiera tenido toda esta reflexión e introspección, yo no hubiera podido hacer estas otras 2 personal experiences, que fue ir a la VG y a la Universidad Landívar a explicar quién soy, por qué hago lo que hago, para qué lo hago y cómo lo hago. Esto, al igual que le pasó a Matías con su conferencia, al tenerlo que presentar a los demás, tienes que tenerlo específico y poderlo decir. Entonces, esto es un reflejo de lo que logré a nivel filosófico. Y también, quiera que no, el Finance Workshop me ayudó muchísimo. Las conversaciones que tuve con Mauricio Garita me ayudaron en crecimiento espiritual, aunque no parezca porque es de finanzas, pero así lo hizo. Y bueno, Resilience and Challenges. Tuve la oportunidad de exponer con un proyecto con el Ministerio de Cultura, pero fue bastante complicado toda la organización y todo lo que tenía que hacerse en la exposición. Estas son algunas obras, las voy a subir más grandes después, pero fue todo un reto, pero al final lo superé y por experiencias que tuve el semestre pasado, logré manejar situaciones difíciles que antes me hubieran frustrado muchísimo, aunque sí me frustraron, pero logré manejarlo y no explotar como hubiera podido pasar. Y bueno, pues de mi milestone, yo tomé clases, yo no sabía qué era liso, no sabía cómo era el shutter speed, no sabía nada de las cámaras y yo quería hacer prints. Entonces, el primer paso era aprender a digitalizar mi trabajo bien. Me compré mi primera cámara, asistí 2 meses a estas clases todos los sábados, 3 horas de fotografía, aprendí también postproducción. Y entonces ahora ya puedo digitalizar y hacer mis propios prints que vendrán próximamente. Y bueno, esa también la tomó Sophie, de Outcomes. Pues primero ese símbolo que han visto en todas partes es ya como yo logré abstraer quién soy. Representa la no dualidad, también las 2 Es de Aileen, la gota del agua, que es un símbolo que me gusta mucho, el movimiento y la unidad del todo. Pero más que nada, los outcomes, a través de estas experiencias que he tenido en Experiential Learning y en mi vida personal, he logrado encontrar tranquilidad, he logrado encontrar claridad, truthful relationships, muy buenas ideas de arte que van con quien soy yo, un nuevo fashion sense, una nueva vista de la vida, hope and excitement para el futuro. Pero más allá de esto, y lo más importante y más valioso, es que he encontrado un propósito. Muchas gracias.
Hello, I'm Diego. I'm in my 4th semester of MPC and my 2nd semester of fellow. And I'm kind of in my 3rd semester of bootcamp, but we'll get to that later. Personal experiences. First one is religion, Christianity. Here we have the Bible. I'm reading the Catholic Pastoral Edition, which is very weird. I've read maybe 120 pages of the Old Testament and about 30 of the New Testament. So I'm not really an expert on any of this. But I'm enjoying it very much so. Enough that I'm actually going to take a course next year on Christianity. And here we have The Problem of Pain by C.S. Lewis, who is an amazing writer. Of course, Nina knows C.S. Lewis. He's starting to become one of my favorite philosophers and theologians. And it's answered a lot of problems I've had with the idea of God and religion and, all sorts of things. I also went to church a couple of times, to Mass. It's not my thing. I'm probably not really going to go again, maybe on Sundays. But yeah, it was a very cool experience anyways. I didn't know any of the songs. Here is kind of a diary of the gym. I've been going to the gym ever since early June. I used to go 4 to 5 times a week when I had time. These weeks I've been going 3, maybe twice a week. It's not enough in my opinion. And these last 2 weeks I haven't gone at all. So I've been going a little crazy, which is probably why I'm wearing this shirt right now. I'd never wear this. But yeah, it's been a life-changing experience. I was never really an active person. I liked playing soccer or tennis, but I never really considered strength to be a part of my life, but I can't live without it. The gym. Next, I have been reading Kierkegaard. I've been reading Either Or, and the reason I've only been reading Either Or by Kierkegaard, it's because it's 600 pages, and it's actually his first published book. I got interested in Kierkegaard because of our catedrático, Jose. He holds him in very high regard, so I thought, Jose, very lively person, very nice person, very happy person. Kierkegaard is probably a very happy person. He is not. He is one of the most depressing writers I've ever read in my life, but he writes very good, so I truly recommend him. But yeah, it's been a journey with this book. He talks about the aesthetic man and the moral man, and how you can either only be one of those two. You can't be one or the other. And it's a very, very strange book. Next up is my cat. People from last semester might remember that there was a family of cats living in my garden. There were a whole bunch of them, and one actually, this one, got stuck in a drain pipe on the start of the semester, and he was almost gonna die. Yeah, real funny, Tomas. Yeah, my brother somehow rescued him, and we've had him ever since. We've had him since he was like this big, and now he's like this big. So he's grown up quite a bit. And as some people might know, I'm not really into cats at all. I didn't really like the idea of them at the start, but I gave him a chance, and he's pretty cute. Here's a nicer picture of him. And his name is Luigi. And my biggest personal experience of the semester, again, is boot camp. Boot camp has, as everyone knows, sucked a lot of my time. It's been very much what I've been doing almost every day. I know people are getting flashbacks from this screen right here. That's just the way it is. I had to do it again. Now I will talk about my only course. I kind of failed 4 classes of bootcamp last semester, so that's the reason why I only have 1 course, which is an experiential learning course, and it is drawing. I've never been good at drawing. I have sort of weird hands, so it's been kind of hard for me to do it, and it still is hard for me. But my milestone, really the main purpose for this was to draw my dreams, the things I saw in my dreams, because I really like my dreams. I hold them to high esteem, and I don't know what I'd do without them. And you'll see those in a bit, but first we will see the process of learning how to draw. This is the start of it. This is just random doodles I used to do on my journal. Not really a lot of artistic value, I would say. That's my hand on the notebook I was drawing on. This is another thing, just random scraps. This is not a self-portrait, by the way. This is some random Asian man that I wanted to draw, so it's not me, don't worry. But now here is the good stuff, or what I consider the good stuff, which is the dreams. This was a dream of me flying over a planet that was made of water and had a little island and an open room with a couple of paintings, or I think they were framed photographs and a chair. This, of course, is not my first attempt at it. There were many other attempts. It took a long time just to draw that chair. A lot of scrapped papers, but I'm not going to show that. Here is another dream of me in a valley, and the light is kind of poking through, and the sky is gray. This was kind of the first thing I did with kind of 3D type stuff, shading and geometry. And actually, one of the things that really helped me a lot was Euclid. All the Euclid stuff we were doing, the shapes, at some point they get 3-dimensional. And I was drawing them for Naya's class, and those helped a lot somehow. I don't know how. This is one of my dog. He looked very weird. He didn't look like that in real life. Yeah, I'm kind of proud of this one. And this is the last one of a dark hallway that is a reoccurring dream I have. And I was very excited to draw this one because it's been with me for a long time. So yeah, I did not take a lot of courses this semester because I was catching up with bootcamp, but I'm pretty proud with what I've done in my only course, my drawing course. I have felt very disconnected from fellows this semester, but hopefully next semester I'll be around more. Again, thank you.
Well, hi. I'm going to start this presentation with some pictures of the experiences that I attended this semester. I learned with Thomas about color analysis. I learned about haikus with Inés. I attended 2 experiences of Julia, one on academic dialogue and the other one on Middle Ages. I also learned about the basics of rings and jewelry with Isa and Maria. And with Nico, we prepared our courses for the next semester. And this semester, I let curiosity be my guide. And the first thing that I wanted to do was to learn how to sew, because I always wanted to, but never made the time. So this was a great excuse. And from that, I created an experience on creating tote bags. We created the basic pattern, and we started to sew our bags. Then, somewhere in the semester, I was looking at TikTok videos, and I saw this really cool guitar amp that someone created and put into an Altoid scan, and I was like, okay, that's really cool, I want to do that. So I started to learn about electronics, and I created an experience about that with Nico, who attended. We created a basic circuit, lighting a LED light, and we used a switch. Hopefully in the future I will make that amp, but that's how far I got out of 31 videos. I saw 15, and that was my workshop about. Another thing that I did this semester was that I was hyper-focused on Facebook Marketplace and finding lenses. And most of them, they have like fungi and dust. So I learned how to open the lens, clean the lens, and also remove the fungi. And here I put fix, because the first time that I had to reassemble the lens, I didn't do it right. It stopped working like it was supposed to do, so I had to learn how to fix it. So now I can say that I'm very confident at fixing the FD 50mm 1.8 of Canon. Yeah. Then from one of my courses, I participated in this one, which is about impresión digital, which is like post-production and learning how to manage the picture for later printed. And I'm putting this here because I didn't know that we were going to have an expo. So yeah, I had an expo. Also, there was a moment in which I stopped using TikTok and Facebook Marketplace, and I started to hyperfixate on Coursera. And I did this one, and then I realized, okay, if I do 4 more, there is a specialization, and I was like, okay, I'm almost halfway through, so I did the other courses and got the specialization. And then for like the artsy part of my experiences, I went to the Experiencia Sensorial de Frida Kahlo. I only have these 2 images here because we weren't allowed to take out our phones, but I did this for you. So I can show you that I was there. I also went to see In the Heights, which is a little bit out of character of me because I don't really like musicals, but I really enjoyed this one. I also went to El Palacio Nacional, which they have like a movie night. So that was really cool, and I would suggest that we should go to that event someday. More pictures of I also was auxiliar. I attended collab again for the third time on a schedule of 7 a.m. every Friday. I had the opportunity to kind of help with the classes and also to see who attended the class. I went to a pottery class, and meanwhile, while I was doing all of this, I was also working on my milestone, which was creating a garment. So I started to look at different options. I saw skirts, and I really like pleats, and I prefer pants over skirts, so I wanted to create a skirt that looked like pants. So I created small prototypes, they're like this big, on how the pleats would look like, so I could create a decision on that. Then I created the pattern, then I created like the full version, full-size prototype to see if my measurements were right, and I just needed to cut like that part. And then my final prototype is what I'm wearing right now. And I want to finish my presentation with a reflection on this quote, which is, "A jack of all trades is a master of none." And the problem in that is when they don't finish the quote, which is, "A jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." Thank you.
Today, I'm going to talk about what I've learned this semester and kind of like the rest of the semesters in a way. It's going to be 3 things. First one, it's called why, and why. And to start, I want to go back to the ending of last semester at Mena's, what was it, presentation of her great work, where she said a lot of things, but what really stuck with me was this. She said, education is a problem of design. It stuck with me. I don't know why, like I forget so many things, but that one stuck with me all summer and this semester. And I think it's because it really challenges you to think about what education is, right? And we're in a very experimental program. I think we've all thought about what learning is and how we learn. And so this just, it stayed there in the back of my mind all summer. And then it popped out this semester when I was reading a book called The Sign and the Question of History by this guy, Tony Fry. Pretty funny picture, but it's the only one I could find. And he said of education, education today often prepares us for the world that was, not the world that is. Wow. What I think he means by this, and he explains it in a very complicated way later on in the book, is that typically today we learn of data and processes and things that we've learned from the past through error, through trial and error. But education doesn't really teach you how to think critically about the world around us. Basically, we ask how and what all the time, but we always forget to ask why. And relating it back to the question of what Mena said, I think that's the crux of the issue, right? We focus too much on the how and what process we should take and what the result should be like, but we never stop to ask why. And that leads me to part number 2. This semester, or rather last semester, for some reason, I don't know if it was clairvoyance or some sort of chance, I decided that my experiential learning was going to be about doing creative things, like piano and drawing and things I don't usually do because I'm a very structured guy. And I was going to challenge myself to do them in a playful manner, to not like focus too much on like, oh, like the end result should be a song or it should be like this, because that's usually what I do, and I want to do something different. And I discovered this play as a path to learning. So what I did some sketching. Still long ways to go, but it was fun because it taught me to notice things about the world, like how the light reflects on certain objects, on certain materials, how things, like I appreciate how things are made so much more now, which is great. And it's also fun to try to sketch something because it's sort of like a challenge. I also took this class on like building mechanisms. So I have a car launcher over there. That was pretty fun. And here, this thing that took me like total of like 25 hours to complete. It's an automata, basically a small mechanical, piece of art. And it was extremely difficult. Like it took me, I'm serious, it took me like 20 plus hours to do it. And then a lot of trial and error. But it made me realize that sometimes the best you can do is just, to give it your best attempt. And then you learn from that. Like Nina said, failure is your friend. And then I learned how to play piano, which was fun. Very slow, like how you told me today. But I'm getting better, So yeah, at first it was really fun and really challenging, but it made me appreciate tempo and patience and rhythm, which is something I'm still working on, but it's been pretty. And basically, I realized we can look at learning in two different lenses. We can look at it as work or as play. And work is often tedious and frustrating, and you beat yourself up over it. But play is another thing. It's open, it's curious, you're open to mistakes. And so I find that doing the experiential learning this semester also helped me in my other courses. Because I made so many mistakes, like we always do, but it was so much fun. And I think it was in a big part because I took this playful approach. And finally, And so I was asking myself, what is it about play that makes, this process so different, right? And I figured there's a root to play. And for me, it's wonder and yearning. And I realized that every creative act that we do, whether it's for art or for work, has a deep underlying root, right? Which is often wonder or yearning or a dream for something. And on the other hand, we have discipline, which is often something we relate to productivity, right? Like you have to wake up at the same time every day, check off so many lists. You have your course plan and you have to do it, by each date. And it's a great motivator, but it is a bit harsh. And I think wonder is a better motivator. It's worked better for me. And I think, I would like to read this quote by the guy that wrote The Little Prince, that I think encapsulates it pretty well. And he says, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. And so, if I could sum up everything I learned in one sentence, is if you want to learn more about the world, yourselves, or anything really, start asking more whys and less hows. Thank you.
I am here to present my last semester ever at MPC, or at least I hope so, because as you may know, I have my great work panel next week, so I hope it is something good. So for this presentation, I decided to divide my learnings in two parts. So first, we have my academic and culture learnings. This semester, I had the opportunity to take 2 workshops. I don't really know how to translate this in English, but I guess ortografía will be like grammar, and redacción, I guess it will be like writing. And these 2 workshops, I took them with one of my professors that I really enjoy working with, which is Mayra Franke. And I learned a lot about that. For example, I learned that we use many phrases and words incorrectly. And for this, I'm going to switch to Spanish just to give you one example. And I recommend paper and a pen. So there's this expression that we say incorrectly, which is en base a. If you have said it before, don't say it like that ever again. The correct expression is con base en. That's just one example. Then I've been taking a course on the medieval cultural studies, and I really like the magic part of that class. So I decided to learn more about that, and I found this course, Magic in the Middle Ages, in Coursera, and I haven't bought the certificate, so that is why I just have that as a proof that I completed. And I also was inspired by the theme of the workshops this semester, which of course was personal finance, and that led me to take 3 courses, 2 on the Coursera platform and another one at the Instituto Juan de Mariana. And those courses were Introduction to Personal Finance, Introduction to the Entrepreneurship's Journey, and a personal finance course, but oriented to real estate. And to complete that financial introduction, I went to Diego's Bitcoin experience, which was really insightful because I learned some of the myths and the real things about Bitcoin. For more of my academic learnings, I did an experience on academic advice and dialogue, and I also shared some of the magical practices and beliefs that I learned in my medieval cultural studies class, and I could share them with some of my fellow classmates. And now I will present what I consider the daily life learnings. So first, I have my scrapbooking workshop, which is a practice that I have been doing this semester for some of my classes, but also what I hope from this experience, and you will tell me if you feel it like that or not, but I wanted to clear our minds from all of the heavy assignments and deadlines and everything that we have on our heads from the semester. So I hope that I did a good job on that, and I hope you enjoyed it. And here are some of my friends and their scrapbooks. Also, I went to some of Eileen's fashion and styling experiences, as well as Isa's basic of rings experience. And to my 2 teachers here, I want to ask you, did I learn? Here I have some jewelry and some in my outfit for today. So I hope that I was a good student to you both. I also learned some advice from Nina on sleep practices and hygiene and things to do before going to bed. And I thought they were really different, and I didn't know that you could do some things like that, but they helped me, and I've been putting some of them to practice, Nina. And thank you for helping me to sleep better. And lastly, I went to Diego's learning experience, and I really like this quote that failure is your friend, because I think that is something that at MPC it happens a lot, but not in a bad way, in a good way. And also that's why I put the slide, so thank you. It wasn't an accident. I wanted to look like that because I want to thank failure, because that allowed me to move on and to learn some new things. And I want to remind you all that I hope that you can come on Tuesday to this same auditorium at 2:30 p.m. to say my final goodbye to all of you. And I want to finish this presentation with a quote from a Spanish philosopher that I discovered recently. So I guess I will have to switch to Spanish. Las humanidades se aprenden, se comunican. Las necesitamos para hacernos quienes somos, para saber qué somos y sobre todo para no cegarnos en lo que queremos, en lo que debemos ser. And I want to end this presentation with this quote because obviously you know that humanities is the path that I chose to study at MPC, and I have learned a lot of things from humanities, and I learned how to shape myself in the way that I want to be, and I hope that I can continue learning from the humanities and from all of the different and diverse topics that you have also presented during this portfolio day. And I hope this is not a goodbye and that we can all continue talking, and I hope that I can still learn from you even after my time at MPC. So thank you. And thank you for coming to our portfolio day.